Okay, so I got 10 defensive use of firearm stories to tell you about today. These occurred between March 22nd and March 27th. The first one's in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The victim, there were two victims, they were unharmed, and the suspect was a 19-year-old male who was arrested. Police are investigating a shooting outside an apartment complex in northeast Philadelphia. According to police, officers were called to the scene around 3 a.m. on Monday. Sources say that 4 males were breaking into cars in the area when 2 people started shooting at them. The 2 shooters were legally carrying guns. One of the suspects, a 19-year-old man, showed up at Nazareth Hospital around the same time and was airlifted to Temple University Hospital in critical condition. Neighbors say this isn't the first time there have been attempted break-ins in this apartment complex. And sources say 3 people have been taken into custody. So this is something that happens a lot, that people are starting to shoot at guys that are breaking into their cars because it's just happening too much. And people are getting fed up with it. Some of this stuff, when you're shooting at people attempting to steal your car, if they don't have a gun and they're not shooting back, though, you kind of have to play it safe in some of that so you don't get yourself in trouble. This next one's in Lexington, Kentucky. The suspect was an adult male. Burglary attempt, shot by the resident in the home. Lexington police are investigating a reported burglary on Sunday at 3:48 a.m. Officers were dispatched. At the scene, they learned a man had forced his way into a home before being shot by the resident. The police said the man was taken to an area hospital with reported non-life-threatening injuries. The police have not released the identity of the individual believed to be responsible for the attempted burglary, but they were charged with burglary, public intoxication, and criminal mischief. Okay, so this guy was apparently drunk and broke into someone's house and ended up getting shot, as he should have been. All right, we got Dayton, Ohio. Victim was unharmed, and in this one, the suspect, 36-year-old Brian J. Girth, was killed. This is a domestic violence incident, and says under the influence of drugs or alcohol. A man was shot and killed in Englewood on Saturday. Brian J. Girth was identified as a man who died in the shooting. Officers responded to the residence approximately 2:44 a.m. with a report of a person with a gunshot wound. An initial investigation indicates the shooting was a case of self-defense between the household members. Any arrests or charges in the case haven't been made. So this guy was apparently drunk, and somebody that was in the house with him ended up shooting him. Not much that they're telling about that one, though. Monticello, Kentucky, this is March 25th. The victim was unharmed, and an adult suspect was injured. This is another home invasion. Police said a man was shot during a suspected break-in. The shooting happened at a home off Highway 3284 just before midnight on Saturday. Police believe the man was attempting to forcibly enter the home when the homeowner shot him. There was a child inside the home at the time of the suspected break-in. The victim needed to be airlifted to the University of Kentucky Hospital for the gunshot wound. There were no other injuries. So again, homeowners are protecting themselves because nobody's putting these guys in jail. Who knows how many times this guy has broken into a house and got away with whatever he wanted to do and steal. So this is a good thing. There's been a lot of home invasions this week, or a lot of self-defense incidents in these home invasions, I should say. Okay, Allentown, Pennsylvania. Oh, wow, this one. Okay, so the victim, 42-year-old Alexander Perez Sotomayor, and the suspect, 21-year-old Giovanni Suazo, they were both killed. This is considered defensive use in an armed robbery. The Lehigh County Coroner's Office identified the victims in the double shooting. Killed Friday. Suezo died of a gunshot wound, and Perez Sotomayor died from multiple gunshot wounds. The manner of death for both was homicide. Both were shot at about 1:30 a.m. No arrests have been made. Police on Friday said one of the men confronted people who were trying to open doors on parked vehicles, resulting in a shootout. The shootings happened hours after a deadly shooting in the city. The homicides brought the total for 2023 to 6 in Allentown. 5 have involved guns, and a statement posted on social media. The mayor called illegal guns a toxin in Allentown. So at least he's calling them illegal guns, the mayor, because most of the time they just go straight for guns are the problem. And this time at least the mayor is calling it illegal guns. And this is an incident where the guy tried to defend himself and ended up in a shootout with the guy, with the criminal, and ended up getting killed himself. Okay, Phoenix, Arizona, victim unharmed. The subject, Kenneth McNee, he's 59 years old, and he was killed. Suspect entered a home, shot by homeowner. Homeowner was initially arrested and later released due to self-defense. So that's a stand your ground castle doctrine in Phoenix. While on the scene, officers contacted a second adult who acknowledged his involvement in the shooting and was detained for further investigation. Phoenix homicide detectives responded and took over the investigation. While speaking with the detained man, he provided a self-defense statement to detectives and was released from police custody. This investigation will be reviewed by the Maricopa County Attorney's Office for any charging. Okay, another, self-defense. Guy's breaking into his home and he shoots him. And in this case, he shot the guy, fatally shot the guy. And this guy was older for someone to be, breaking into houses. He was 59 years old. So he was well past his prime on that. March 23rd, Baltimore, Maryland. The victim was unharmed and the suspect was injured. Suspect walked into a business brandishing a gun. The female worker pulled out her own gun. There was a struggle between the suspect and the victim, leading to the suspect being shot in the leg. And the suspect's weapon turned out to be a BB gun. So if you are a criminal and you are breaking into places, nobody can tell if the gun is real or not when you're waving it around. So they're going to treat it as a real gun, as you intend them to believe it's a real gun, and they will treat it as such. And this guy, he didn't die, but he ended up getting shot. Okay, March 23rd again in Decatur, Georgia. The adult victim was unharmed, an adult male, and the adult male suspect, he was killed. Homeowner shoots and kills person breaking into their home. A man is dead after police say he broke into a home and was shot by the homeowner. Decatur police officers responded to a person shot call around 5:30 a.m. Upon arrival, police learned a home invasion had taken place and the homeowner shot and killed an adult male inside the house who is believed to be the suspect. The incident is under investigation. The state of Georgia has stand your ground laws, and also known as the Castle Doctrine, that legally protect Georgians who use lethal force against intruders. They say a person can use reasonable force to defend their home and does not have to retreat before deciding to use force. So Georgia is 100% behind protecting your home and self-defense. They're 100% behind it. And that stand your ground law will protect this guy who shot the intruder. March 23rd, Smyrna, Georgia. The victim, an adult female, was unharmed, and the suspect, an adult male, was killed. Woman shot man trying to break in, force his way into her apartment, and the suspect died. Let's see. A man is dead after being shot in an apartment. Police say they responded to the Alder Park Apartments around 7:50 p.m. and found a man shot in one of the apartments. They say the man was trying to break into the apartment. The apartment's occupant, a woman, told him to leave and shot him when he refused. She has not been arrested at this time. It does not appear the two knew each other. So I like to see this a lot because we need to see more women protecting themselves because, they're seen as easy victims, like especially Asian women. Asian women should really be walking around with concealed carry all the time, especially if you're older. They should be walking around concealed carry all the time. And this woman, she took care of business in her home. Okay, let's go to March 22nd. This is the last one, I believe. March 22nd in Indianapolis, Indiana. The adult male victim was unharmed, and the suspect, 54-year-old Keith Brown, was killed. Man with a protective order filed against him by the resident was shot while trying to break into the home. He died at the hospital. All right, let's see what they say about this one. An Indianapolis man was released from custody after shooting another man to death outside a home on the city's near northeast side. Just after 2 p.m. Wednesday, Keith Brown was shot multiple times at a home near 25th and Rural Street. Minutes later, the suspected shooter returned to the scene and surrendered to the police. While the man was being handcuffed, those who knew the gunman insisted he acted in self-defense. Detectives spoke with that individual and other witnesses. After consultation with the prosecutor's office, the person thought to be responsible was released pending further investigation. While police didn't explain exactly what led to the shooting, court records show a protective order was filed against Brown just 3 weeks ago, asking him to stay away from the property. In late February, the woman who lives at the home filed a petition for a protective order claiming Brown had stalked her home and broke into her house and car while she was at work. Court records show that protective order was denied by the court on Tuesday, the day before the homicide. So far, 11 of the 50 homicides this year have been deemed non-criminal. A huge increase compared to the last 2 years. In 2022, there were 14 non-criminal homicides for the entire year. In 2021, there were 20 non-criminal homicides. So a non-criminal homicide is just one where there's no charges filed against the person who shot them, meaning most of them were self-defense. So having 11 of the 50 already this year, when normally, like last year, they said there was only 14 for the whole year, this shows a lot of people are taking their own self-protection more seriously. And more people are buying guns. You can see the numbers of guns that are being purchased is skyrocketing. What hasn't happened yet is the criminal has not yet learned that this many people have guns and that this many people are willing to use the gun to protect themselves against said criminal. But they will. But most of them learn the lesson when it's too late, and they're not going to be around to actually learn that lesson. If the criminal does not fear the police, a judge, or prison, he must be taught to fear his victims.